Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. After having a blazing hot start to the season against the Bills for Breece Hall, he's really struggled in week 2 and week 3 of the NFL season. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down Breece Hall and his situation with the Jets in order to determine what's going on with Breece Hall. After suffering a catastrophic injury last season, it was expected that Breece Hall would be on somewhat of a pitch count to start the season, and even though this is the case, it has still been very disappointed to see how Breece Hall has been utilized thus far in this season. Throughout the first 3 games of the season for the Jets, Breece Hall has about a 38% offensive snap count, and in total, he's had 26 carries for 154 yards, 2 catches, and 0 touchdowns. Reading these stats off at a surface level, it seems as though Breece Hall really has not been that bad, as his yards per carry is pretty damn high, but guys, his yards per carry really is predicated off of that singular run he made against the Bills. Other than that, in weeks 2 and weeks 3 of the season, he's had under 3 yards per attempt. And overall, the fact that Breece Hall really is splitting snaps with Michael Carter and Dalvin Cook is somewhat disappointing thus far into the season, as last year Breece Hall clearly was the most talented running back out of this trio. Now, as I've watched the first 3 games for the Jets this season, there is a very common pattern with Breece Hall every single time he's in the game, and if I can pick up on this pattern, you sure as hell know every single NFL team can pick up on this pattern, and it's that every single time Breece Hall enters the game, he ends up getting the ball for the most part. I feel like I can count on one hand the amount of times Breece Hall has blocked this season, and it really adds to the predictability of this offense. Overall, every single time this team goes back to drop back for a pass and they want their running back to stay back and block, it is Michael Carter in the game. Breece Hall, despite being a very good receiving back, has been somewhat of a non-factor in the receiving game at this point in the season. So whenever a defense sees Breece Hall sub into the game for the Jets, they're going to stack the box in order to stop the run. And that is exactly what happened in the Cowboys game. And that's exactly what happened in the Patriots game as well. Now, I did a little bit of research because I think it is very peculiar that they never have Breece Hall block on any passing downs. It seems as though Breece Hall is about a league average blocker. I couldn't find any film of him blocking, but I did read some scouting reports of him coming out of college, and again, it seems as though he's an average blocker, so it's not a strong suit of Breece Hall. Rather, I do think it is an attempt for Breece Hall and overall the Jets to limit the amount of times he absorbs a hit in a game because of the injury he's coming off of last season. But if you limit Breece Hall to just running the football, nothing in the receiving game, and not even blocking, his week-to-week snap count is going to be very inconsistent and is going to be very game plan dependent considering what defense he's going to be playing against. And overall, he's probably going to have a very low yards per carry this season if the defenses can just stack the box because they don't trust Zach Wilson to be able to beat them. The Jets' up-and-coming opponents are the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Eagles, the Giants, the Chargers, and the Raiders. Against some of the teams such as the Chiefs and the Eagles, I expect Breece Hall to be pretty bad in these games, and overall, I would not start Breece Hall in fantasy in these games, as I feel as though Michael Carter will be in for a significant amount of snaps in order to try to keep these elite pass rushes at bay. But when he faces teams like the Broncos, the Giants, the Chargers, the Raiders, teams that really aren't threatening in terms of their front 7 to get after Zach Wilson and the quarterback, I expect these weeks where Breece Hall has a higher snap count and overall is much more productive in a fantasy football setting. So if I was a Breece Hall owner out there, or overall if I were a Jets fan wondering what's going on with Breece Hall, I would really monitor what teams they're facing and to see if the team they're facing has a good pass rush. If this is the case, I would expect Breece Hall to not have a good game. If not, I think Breece Hall will start to have significantly more carries. Overall, I'm not worried about Breece Hall in terms of the physical talent perspective just yet. I still really believe in the talent that is Breece Hall, but I am a bit concerned with the situation he's in, as having Nathaniel Hackett, Zach Wilson, and company obviously is not ideal for a running back. Thanks for watching today's video of Mike Talk Sports. Let me know in the comment section below, do you agree with my take with Breece Hall that they just want him to run the ball when he's in there and they don't really disguise any play calls with Breece Hall in there? If you enjoyed today's video, I really appreciate it. Smack that like and hit subscribe.